You're listening to Spangled Banter with James and Peyton, the social and political commentary podcast where we rant, you decide.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning.
Welcome back, political podcast junkies, to the show that keeps on giving, Spangled Banter. For a great drinking game, whenever you hear a swear, take a shot.
Fuck yeah.
There's your first one.
I just thought, what are we giving, by the way?
What's that?
What are we giving besides headaches?
Regret. Well, folks, I'm your host on the right, James, with your good buddy, my co-host, and my weekend anarchist on the left, Peyton.
Jawohl.
Well, wow, what a week it has been.
Good.
It has been quite a bit of a, well, both an interesting and tragic weekend in itself. We're going to take a little bit of a serious side note here on our podcast, because we're going to be talking about, among other things, the tragedy of the Las Vegas shooting that happened, when was this? Monday of last
Sunday
week?
night.
Sunday night.
Oh, yeah, last Sunday night.
Literally the night after we recorded our last podcast. And I'm telling you, man, every time we think we're not going to have something to talk about, life comes and gives us something to talk about.
That's what got me. I was like, we recorded last week's episode, and then hours later, the shooting happened, and we were like, well... And not to say that, like, I was like, well, now I'm going to sound like an asshole, because I'm like, not to say that I'm excited that, oh, we finally have our topic, because clearly this is not something
we want to be talking
exciting.
about. No.
You know, I don't want to talk about something like this, because, I mean, yeah, upwards of almost 600 people were affected at the actual shooting, and of course, their families and friends subsequently were also affected by it. It's just a complete cluster of of craziness. And
it's
I mean,
chaos.
A lot of people are like, you know, what good are your thoughts and prayers? You know, and I'm like, well, they're what we can do at the moment. I mean, there's a lot more that we can do right now. And there's been plenty of posts and websites going up saying, give here to the families affected by the shooting in Las Vegas. There have been a lot of GoFundMe pages to give money towards the families and individuals affected by the shooting. But truth be told, we do want to send our thoughts and our prayers to everyone and anyone that was affected by this travesty. 59 killed, and over 500 were hospitalized, and I'm just like, I can't. My brain does not compute how something like that.
I can't wrap around the numbers. I can't wrap around the scope of the tragedy. But here's what gets me the most, and this is going to be my monologue to break us out here. I think out of all of this, the feeling that I walked away from after this tragedy, after watching this on TV and watching the news reports and watching the countless coverage of this entire thing just unfold in all of its horrifying glory, the emotion that I walked away from was just absolute anger.
Yeah.
I'm angry. I'm angry that a madman with guns turned a joyful event into a horrific tragedy. I'm angry that politicians on the left and even some on the right politicized this tragedy before bullets stopped flying to push their agenda that cheapened the loss of innocent lives. You know, I'm angry that conspiracy theories are being cooked up and are creating a narrative that ignores the facts, opting instead to sensationalize this calamity. I'm angry at citizens who use this disaster to create more political and social division. But you know what, most of all, dude, I'm angry that this kind of evil exists, and we're once again having this conversation, that we have to sit here and talk about this as one of our issues that plague our society.
That's the thing that gets me about it, too, is that we keep talking about, oh, we're so sick and tired of repeating ourselves, of going around in circles. Well, fuck off then, because we have clearly been having the same discussion about these same issues for how long now, and nobody's doing a goddamn thing about it.
If somebody would do something about it, we wouldn't have these conversations anymore.
Exactly.
The very fact that we keep talking about this shows that nobody wants to do shit. And here's the bare bones fact of this whole thing, is that good people died, and all I'm hearing right now is divisive political rhetoric that only serves to ignore their sacrifice and their loss. And that, my friends, is the biggest tragedy of all.
I actually had somebody, an old friend from high school, who was there.
Really?
Yeah. She wasn't there the night of the shooting, but she was at that music festival as it was going on throughout the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So So she was in Vegas when it happened.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being not even being there in the crowd necessarily, but just being there in Vegas?
Oh yeah,
when it happened.
I mean, yeah, your heart and your spirit are there with this this festival, this celebration,
right.
and there was a part of me that kind of I kind of wanted to talk to her about it, but I was also kind of afraid to talk to her about it.
Yeah, because you never know if she's gonna.
Yeah, is she dealing with? I mean. She's a strong gal, though. She's an old friend from high school that I went to school with in Alaska, and so it was pretty crazy to be like, oh shit, like I knew somebody
you actually knew personally
there,
was involved. That's a big deal.
Jim and I have a mutual friend, Colby Ring, who we would like to get on this podcast at some point. She has a lot of great insight and great perspective from different sides than myself and from Jim. Mm-hmm. Mostly because she is female, but also just because she is a very intelligent young woman. She is a professional massage therapist, and the other day, one of the customers that came in to get a massage was a survivor of the Las Vegas shooting.
Wow.
And she actually got to talk to her briefly about that, and I was like,
wow.
Damn. I don't know
how if I would be able to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I would say something wrong.
Seriously.
I would be on edge.
So props to you, Colby, for stepping up.
Good job, Colby.
And
I have a feeling
being able to talk with them about it. And
I have a feeling that when we finally do get Colby on this show, she's gonna smoke us both, which is like
probably
right. Like, you guys are a bunch of idiots. Let me tell you what it really is. Like,
she probably
will. But I guess that's my whole point. This whole thing it was definitely, without dispute, a tragedy.
Yeah.
And it was an unnecessary tragedy. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't take steps to try to prevent this in the future. I'm not saying we shouldn't look at our current gun issues. I'm not saying any of that. I am saying, however, that people politicizing it or cheapening it or making it a divisive topic is not the way to go. And that's what I'm hearing a lot of right now, is just a lot of people are making this something it's not.
The biggest struggle with it is that it's the idea of you think or you're trying to do something right or noble for the sake of those affected, when ultimately you are kind of making it about yourself kind of thing. And we're all guilty of it. Nobody is immune from that. We've all done it, and we all still do it. Because the hard thing is that it's hard for our brains to decipher when and what is appropriate to, But that's the struggle, is that and that's the other problem too, is that a lot of our hearts are in the right places, and we're trying to be as sensitive to this issue as possible, but unfortunately there are those moments that people will interpret wrongly what we're saying or doing, or we could just very well be in a moment of putting our feet in our mouth.
Happens a lot.
Yeah.
It's happened before.
And that's the difficulty with it, is that we just don't know. Like, we don't know what's going on in the heart of somebody that was like, oh, thoughts and prayers. This guy was such a psychopath. This guy was awful.
Right.
This guy was this. This guy was that. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's just we jump to a lot of conclusions, and we come up with a lot of different conjectures and ideas of what happened and what is happening. And it's just like, we can't just take a moment to just be like, damn, the fact that this still occurs, and it's just devastating.
And I was thinking about this too the other day. Remember, when it comes to the gun issue anyway, remember back in the day when the first mass shooting that I can remember, possibly that you can remember, maybe if you were old enough to remember, I'm not sure. But back in the day, the first thing I remember hearing was the Columbine shooting.
Columbine, yes.
That was I remember that. I remember walking home from school.
Yep. That was what, 98, 99?
I was 98, 99. I was a freshman in high school. So
98, 99. I was like 10 or 11.
Okay, so you were middle school, junior high type of thing.
Yeah, I was encroaching middle school.
I remember my mom, she was just almost in tears over what happened, just frightened for my safety and the safety of everybody at my school. Not because I went to Columbine, because I went to a high school in South Orange County, but because she wasn't sure if this was going to happen there. No, because this was so new, nobody knew what was going to happen. Is this going to be a thing that's going to occur, in all schools? Is this going to be a copycat thing? Is this going to be an ongoing problem? And sadly, it is.
Yeah. Obviously, gun violence and just violence in general has been around within our culture and in our society for a long time. But
since guns were invented.
I do distinctly remember that Columbine was the first catalyst.
Yeah,
that was like
set everything
the moment
in motion.
that everyone was like, oh shit, this can happen in schools.
Yep. It could happen in my own hometown. Because Columbine was a relatively peaceful little town before this all went down, and then when it happened,
That's what's so interesting to me. And I'm not promoting one thing or another, but if you've seen the movie Bowling for Columbine, Michael Moore's documentary, it's actually got some good
points in it.
Yeah,
it really does.
It really does. And a lot of
I'm
people
not a Michael Moore fan at all. But I'm like, all right, this one
for me, like as a more liberal leaning,
and Sicko are the two ones that I'm actually like, okay,
Oh, Sicko, yeah. A lot of people really liked Sicko, yeah. For me, it's difficult because, well, not really difficult. It's more interesting because you see a lot of these, things coming up. Well, okay, the Vegas thing is one thing because that happened in like a famous location and a big
big venue.
Yeah, like a big metropolitan type something or other.
Right.
I'm just going to say it. Crackpots seem to be coming from very small town areas.
Yeah, very rural areas.
And in my head, I'm like, why is that? And I loved that he pointed out, Michael Moore, when he pointed out in his film, that a lot of people that he interviewed also came from small town areas that didn't end up that way. And the most intriguing interview that he had with somebody that did come from a small town area very, very close to Columbine High School was Matt Stone, who is the co-creator of South Park. Exactly. Matt Stone had said, here's the thing, is that I understand where those two guys were coming from, the two shooters. He goes, because a lot of times, a lot of people that grow up in these small towns, like myself and Trey Parker, they say the same thing. It is so boring.
What else do you do?
Yeah, what else do you do? They're bored. They don't have anything to live for. They don't have anything to do. Nobody has any aspirations. Nobody has any sort of anything. Even hobbies are out the window, essentially. So a lot of people get bored, and so what do they turn to? They turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, they turn to
guns,
God knows
sex,
what. Weird cultic type.
Right?
So it's just,
crochet.
People get into weird shit when you're bored out of your mind, and rightfully so. You got to find something to occupy your time. So he was like, so the problem is that a lot of what might have been going on in these two guys' heads was something that manifested from a number of things. It could have been drugs. It could have been weird ritualistic something, or it could have been a manner of other things, or it could have stemmed from the fact that they were just mentally unstable individuals. But I love what Matt Stone said, because he goes, clearly you look at people like me and Trey Parker and realize we're two very unstable individuals as well. We just found a much healthier avenue to release it. He goes,
True.
South Park isn't killing anybody. South Park started out as a way for me and my friend Trey to purge the anxiety, to purge the stress, to purge the depression of living in this small town environment. You see just the darkness and the dealings, and you feel like there's nothing you can do because there's only 100 people or so that live in your little town.
And they all know your name.
Exactly. So it's just like, and so he was like, yeah, South Park was created as a way, oddly enough, as a way of mental healing and restoration for these two guys.
I'm sure it's been that way for quite a few people.
Right? And now it's just blossomed into this giant cultural phenomenon for the last 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
And I find that so intriguing. I find that so many people completely ridicule and lambast that show because of how edgy and how vulgar.
I lambasted it when it first came out just because it was nothing but potty humor.
Right.
But eventually it morphed into this social, satirical.
Oh, it's so clever.
Oh, it's so good. Like
It's
now
so
I'm like,
good.
oh man, they're like the Mark Twain of our generation. They really are. They really are. Think about it.
Oh my God.
I know I've got a bunch of Mark Twain enthusiasts going, oh my God, my God.
You heard it, folks.
But no,
Mark Twain is just like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of South Park. Seriously. What now I can't think of their names.
Who? What?
And
the characters?
Yeah.
Like Kyle and Kenny and...
Oh, no. In Mark Twain's book. See, this is how good American I know. I don't even know any of the characters in his books. And
like Huck Finn and...
There you go, yeah.
Tom Sawyer
and Stan Marsh?
Yeah.
Clearly the same person. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean...
Huck Finn, Cartman?
Literally the same person.
Oh my God, that was fantastic. I love just how intriguing it is that something like that was created from a way of trying to cope with the mental illness that they deal with, you know?
They did it, like you said, they did it the healthy way.
They found a creative outlet
to
release this frustration.
I think that's what separates, in the small town world, that's what separates guys like that from guys like the shooters.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, exactly. And that goes to show, look, just because you're in a one-horse town doesn't mean you're going to grow up to be, a psychopath. It means that, you live in a small town, and that you're fortunate or smart enough or clever enough, you can find an outlet that's creative, that's not going to affect anybody adversely, and God bless them for it. South Park has gotten better and better as it goes on. So
oddly so.
Keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Please do. Kind of going back to the Columbine thing, though, it's just that moment. I remember, like, when I was in school, they had made these cross monuments. You remember these things?
The cross. Oh, yeah. No,
do you remember those? Yeah, they made these giant wooden crosses as monuments. And this is what's crazy to me, is that they actually took these crosses and they traveled the country. They even made it all the way up to Alaska, where I was living.
It was like a rock band. They were literally doing a tour.
I was just like, so there's just these giant, 13 wooden crosses just parading through the schools. That was a big deal. I mean, yeah, it was a big deal because it was the first one, essentially.
That's how shocked I think we all were. That's how we had to deal with this tragedy. And I hate to say it because now it seems like it's sort of become passé. It's like, oh, it's another shooting. Okay, what time is it? So here we are, folks, again, talking about another tragedy, which we hope we can learn from, and we will as we talk more about it, because this episode is going to be mainly about dealing with tragedy and, of course, the gun control issue that has come about.
Yeah, and I realized that, too, that we actually never really talked about gun control.
We haven't. In fact, my sister-in-law last night, I was over their house, and she said two things. One, we need to kind of shorten our episodes because we did get a little. She's like, I love your podcast, but they're so long. I'm like, yeah, we're trying to push for an hour, but we just start talking. We don't shut up.
Also, keep in mind that a lot of podcasts range anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours.
That's what I told her. I go, we're actually on the shorter end of the spectrum.
Oh yeah.
Another thing she said is, you guys got to talk about gun control. And I go, well, funny you say that.
Who said this again?
Autumn, my sister-in-law.
Eric's wife. Okay, well, Autumn, you're going to get your wish.
Get your wish.
Here we go. We're going to talk about gun control.
Buckle up.
And this is going to be a fun one because of the fact that we have a pretty not harsh conservative, but Jim a conservative and me a liberal.
Yeah.
We have some pretty interesting ideas when it comes to gun control.
Yep, we do.
I think it's going to get a lot of fun.
It'll get fun.
And interesting.
But it'll really get fun because when we come back, Payne's got a Paula Dick that I swear is the prime example of what is wrong with this country.
Yep.
Don't go anywhere, because when you come back, you're going to want to put your fist right through your radio or your computer or just the wall.
Oh, just anywhere.
Yeah, hang tight. You don't want to miss this. And now, it's time for Politic of the Week, the part of our show where we introduce to you a political or social figure who has been particularly stupid in the eyes of the nation. Hold tight, for there's no telling what amount of bullshittery we may encounter next.
All right, so we're back. I'm finishing a cheese curd, so
shoot faster.
Thought I had more time, but I apparently still don't know how long that fanfare goes for. All right, we got a doozy of one for you this week, and honestly, I don't even want to spend too much time on this one, because a lot of the times our politics are usually from people that say just blatantly stupid stuff. Like anybody who showcases their ignorance or just, I don't know, just complete idiocy.
Anybody who puts their foot in their mouth or just doesn't think shit through when they're talking.
Like, I get it. Like, a lot of people are going to say stupid shit. And a lot of times when people say stupid shit, it's hilarious to me. Other times...
Because it's always done, most of the time it's just done out of straight ignorance or just like emotion.
Exactly. But then there are certain individuals that say shit out of stupidity, and you realize, how are you a human being?
Why are you still breathing?
How is this possible? So that's why I'm like, I don't even want to I just want to say what she did and then segue into,
she doesn't deserve
any more than what she's gonna get right now. No. So our politic of the week this week is a woman by the name of Haley Geftman Gold. For those of you that may not know who she is or what she has done, let me lay it on the line for you. For about the last year, she has been operating as CBS's vice president and senior counsel. Shortly after the shooting in Las Vegas, she came out with a statement. She was essentially within, once again, a Twitter battle.
Oh, God.
With individuals regarding the shooting.
People just don't learn, do you? How many times have we said, get off fucking Twitter? How many times?
Get off fucking Twitter.
Just get off.
Tired of it. Okay, here's the biggest problem. It literally happened hours after the shooting. Holy hell. Go take a runny dump and then post something. Like, give it some time first.
Read War and Peace or some damn thing.
Seriously.
Like, I don't know, arts and crafts before you make a statement.
I don't understand just like how people just cannot process or cope with
Fly
something.
off at the mouth, dude.
Anyway, so she got into it on Twitter, on social media with individuals, and a lot of it was coming about the whole gun control issue, which was what we're going to segue into shortly after this this politics segment, in which she'd kind of gotten into it with a lot of people, and essentially they were kind of talking about Republicans and how ambivalent they are to wanting to do anything with any amount of gun laws or gun control or whatever. And then she made the statement that, and here's the thing, I could understand that aspect of it because there are a lot of Republicans who refuse to even have the conversation about it. So I get where she's coming from, but as Jim and I discussed on the last episode, you know, optics versus message, you know, you kind of, there's a moment where you're like, I'm with you, and then they say one more thing and you go, damn it, now I'm not with you.
Now you suck.
So she started off with saying, if they wouldn't do anything when children were murdered, I have no hope that repugs, apparently that's her term for Republicans.
That's her derogatory term for Republicans.
Which is kind of a dumb derogatory term.
She could have been more creative. As an executive at CBS, I think she'd be a little bit more creative in her terminology.
First off, pugs are adorable.
Right?
So
don't insult
pugs, you dumb bitch. So
I think she was going off the term repugnant, so she shortened it to repugs instead of repubs for Republicans.
Okay, well, if that was her, that's a
dumb.
stretch. That's a fucking
dumb.
stretch. How did this woman get this job?
How did any of them get that job? I don't know.
So to reiterate, her quote, if they wouldn't do anything when children were murdered, I have no hope that repugs will ever do the right thing. A lot of people interpreted this as her referencing the Sandy Hook shooting that happened back in 2012. What was it, like 20 children died, six teachers, 6 adults or whatever. Yeah. It was awful. It was just insanity. Like, I cannot believe that still is even, it still gives me chills to think about Sandy Hook. Now, yes, that happened, and since then there's been a ton of more mass shootings in the United States since then. And so I get it. I get it because there's an issue, not necessarily with gun control and gun laws, but with the fact that nobody seems to want to have this conversation ever, which is depressing. It's depressing that people won't even like say, all right, let's have a coffee. Let's have a coffee. Let's talk about this. Let's try to see both sides and let's try to come like what so many people are so insistent on not wanting to talk about shit anymore. And I don't get it. So I'm with her on that. It's frustrating that something like this happened. And I was like, yes, I'm with you. And then she had to keep going because trolls exist, and apparently people don't know how to not feed them.
Please do not feed the trolls.
Don't feed the internet trolls. For the love of God, just step away.
I'm going to post a sign on our Facebook page. Please do not feed the internet trolls.
Seriously. Okay, so...
Because what does she say, Peyton?
I would like to think that somebody had baited her into then responding with this. I'm actually not even sympathetic because country music fans are often Republican gun toters. And that is when St. Peter wept tears of shit.
Because essentially she's saying, hey, I'm not even sorry that people died because they're obviously country-loving Republicans, and I don't like Republicans, so I'm not even sympathetic that... Are you serious?
I'm just
literally less than an hour.
5 dozen people died.
5 dozen people died, you callous bitch, and you can't even put aside your political preference to maybe acknowledge the fact that your fellow human beings lost their lives in this tragic event? No, you have to make this a political...
Hours after it happened.
But hours! You had to make this a political issue and push your political viewpoint down everybody's throat, again, on Twitter, because it's such a wonderful soapbox, and naturally, if you post it on Twitter, we're going to agree with you.
Like, again, it's another thing of trying to push an agenda, and I get it. It might, the timing's a little inappropriate. Here's the thing. I am pretty liberal on a lot of things, and I, for one, am someone who does not like country music. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they're...
It's actually grown on me. Pretty much after...
I'm not surprised. This is my surprised look.
Spoiler alert for you guys out there who can't see. It's nowhere near surprised.
Spoiler alert.
Well, yeah, because my wife loves it. Her sisters love it. They grew up with it. I was never a huge fan of it, really, until I started dating my wife. And you have to listen to it if you want to keep dating.
Well, yeah.
And it started growing on me. And now I kind of, okay, I actually...
Can you say the same thing to my wife, but tell her, but because I like metal music?
I'll try.
No, my wife's actually really good. Whenever I show her like just some random ass band that I like that's like heavy metal, I'm like, "Hey, honey, check out Rings of Saturn."
She's like,
she'll listen to it, but then she's like, "Okay, honey," but she'll actually listen to it. So I'm like, "All right, I'll give her that."
Pats him on the head and brushes. Go play now.
Good job, honey.
Good job, honey.
I'm proud of you. But I grew up with country music. Country music was everywhere, and I hated country music. I still don't like country music. Okay, I will say this. If there's one country artist out there that I actually have a lot of respect for, and I have listened to his stuff, and I'm like, you know what? This stuff's actually pretty good, and I have a lot of respect for this man, Brad Paisley.
Yes. He is my top country music guy.
The reason why, though, is because he's so ironic and on the nose with his own material. It's like he's a walking country satire.
Yeah.
But he knows it. That's the thing. He's aware of it.
And he doesn't care.
Some of his more heartfelt stuff is actually really good, too. Probably one of the first country songs I ever listened to that I was actually like, you know what, this is good, was Brad Paisley's Celebrity.
Yeah.
It was way back in the day.
Back in the
day.
Like
early 2000s.
Yep.
Like.
Well, one of his other songs I really like that it's more heartfelt and it gets me every time is Whiskey Lullaby. Mm-hmm. If you've ever heard that one, it's just such a sad message. Yeah. Like just the story in the song is just kind of sad.
He's so self-aware of who he is.
He's aware of the stereotypes, and he pokes fun at them.
He pokes fun at it. He's aware of it. He pokes fun at it. But at the end of the day, he's like, yeah, I'm country, and yeah, country people do weird shit. Out of everybody in country, I'd say Brad Paisley is like my number one. But at the same time,
did I show you his?
Do you have a guitar pick?
Yeah,
from him?
When I was working on the Ellen Show, he was one of the guests, and he walked by the talent door I was working, and he was like, he struck up a brief conversation, and he just goes, "Here, buddy, have one of these." He hands me one of his personalized guitar picks. So thanks, Brad. I really appreciate that. One of these days, I'll have to return the favor and, I don't know, give you an autographed script from something.
That's funny.
But yeah, he's a cool guy.
Personalized Brad Paisley
guitar pick.
I actually have a personalized Kirk Hammett guitar pick.
That'd be cool.
Kirk Hammett, the lead guitarist for Metallica.
I almost want to get this framed with like one of his like record,
Oh yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
But anyway.
But other than that, I don't care for country music. I don't care for a lot of their messages. But a lot of it is because that's a lifestyle that I just am like, whatever. If people like to live that way, if people like to be all...
One of these days when we record, I'm going to wear my cowboy hat just for you.
Oh, my God. I'm surprised you haven't yet.
You
love that thing, too.
It's great. I love that. It's such a versatile hat, man. It keeps the sun off your face and your neck. It keeps your head warm. It's actually better than a baseball cap.
But that's the thing, is that I am someone who doesn't like it. I don't care for it. I don't understand it, and I don't really support it. But I'm not going to go around and say all country music lovers need to die because they're Republican. Fuck off.
Right?
That is like...
Not to mention that people just did die less than 2 hours before she posted this stupid tweet.
Yeah.
I'm like, how callous, unfeeling, and just dumb.
Just awful. Just
dumb.
There's zero empathy.
Zero none.
Empathy.
None.
Like, I mean, so rightfully so, like right after she tweeted that, CBS fired her.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing the right thing,
doing the right
CBS.
thing, CBS.
Like,
because too many companies and organizations, I think, sidestep the issue and go, oh, if we just brush it under the rug, it doesn't happen. No.
Of course, then she started backpedaling, and she's like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. That's not what I meant.
Yeah, bullshit. Okay, I'm sorry. If it's not what you meant, then why did you post it?
Yeah.
If it's not what you meant,
not what you meant,
if it's not, because she was like, it doesn't reflect my beliefs, blah, blah. That's bullshit. Absolutely reflects your beliefs. You posted it 2 hours after the incident, you twit.
Yep.
Ugh.
It says here that her attorney also mentioned threats in her initial statement. In the last few hours, my client, her family, and friends have been bombarded by online death unimaginable in quantity and detail. We beg people to show love and support to survivors and loved ones in Las Vegas and their own lives instead of creating more violence.
You mean like your client?
Yeah, so essentially this lady started receiving death threats, and I'm like, these people should not be sending death threats, but they wouldn't send the death threats if the lady would have just shut the fuck up.
Exactly. If you weren't unsympathetic and unfeeling and heartless and cruel, and again, if you weren't making this a political issue and making it divisive again, as we tend to often do in this country, we wouldn't have this issue, and you wouldn't have death threats. Granted, that's not condoning the death threats that you got, because people, come on, let's be real.
Let's take the high ground and not do what she did.
But let's not be surprised that you got death threats after your unsympathetic and unfeeling response to death.
This is a comment she wrote shortly after all of this hell hit the fan. I posted on an indefensible post in a Facebook discussion thread concerning the tragic Las Vegas shooting, a statement I sincerely regret.
Bet you do.
Yeah. I am deeply sorry for diminishing the significance of every life affected by Stephen Paddock's terrorism last night and for the pain my words have inflicted on the loved ones of the victims. My shameful comments do not reflect the beliefs of my former employer, colleagues, family, and friends, nor do they reflect my actual beliefs. I call bullshit on that, because if they didn't actually reflect your beliefs, you wouldn't have goddamn said it. This senseless violence warrants the deepest empathy. I understand and accept all consequences that my words have incurred. Well, we'll see that you do. See, that's what gets me. People keep saying shit, and then they go, okay, but that doesn't actually reflect my own beliefs. Then why the fuck did you say it?
Exactly.
Why?
You didn't. You can't piss in my cup and call it coffee. Or you can't go 1 minute go, all repugs need to fucking die, and then literally an hour later go, oh, that's really not my beliefs.
Dude, I had a guy at Disney who worked with me, who at one point during some Disney party somewhere or another, this guy legitimately said, well, nobody else that was in the show with him said, he was in front of a lot of people, and I'm sure he'd been drinking or something, but he basically had said, there's no other good performers but me. I'm the best one in my department and in my division. The funny thing is, Jim, you know who this is.
I can take a wild stab.
Yeah. He had said this, and it got around to the rest of us that worked in the same show as him. And we were all just like, why in the hell would he say that? Why? So for weeks and months went by that it just was so awkward in the booth, in the green room with him, because we all knew. And then he found out that we all knew, and then he started going around in tears, pervasively apologizing to each one of us, being like, I'm so sorry, you're a great performer. And he kept saying the same thing. This is not how I actually feel. This is not what I actually believe. I'm like, fuck you. You said it. You said it, and because you said it, that's what you feel.
I mean, is he more sorry that he said it, or is he sorry that he got caught?
He's sorry that he got caught.
Yeah, exactly.
He's sorry that he got caught. Because clearly this is what he thinks. And it's because at the time, he was the highest ranked performer in our department.
Yeah, well,
so
there you
he's going around being like, clearly I'm the best. All these other guys suck and shit. And then to go around to be like, no, I didn't actually mean it. Yes, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, you did.
So if this guy was like, oh, I'm the greatest, tell him how good I am, kid.
That's my kiff. That's my best kiff.
That's all you need to do. That's the best. But that's what I'm saying. It's like people, usually the first thing they say is what they're really thinking, what they're really feeling. And only after the fact,
anybody who has any amount of alcohol in their body will tell you
exactly what they really feel.
Yep.
So the fact that this guy and this chick here, this CBS bitch, are like, oh, it's not really my belief, blah, blah, blah. No, you're sorry that you got caught and you can't have your parking space in front of the CBS studios anymore. That's what you're sorry for. Don't sit there and tell me this isn't what you really believe when literally a day before you posted one of the most derogatory, unfeeling, callous comments you can possibly post on social media, and then backpedal and delete your post because you saw how big of a...
She for sure deleted
them. You saw how big of a twat you were being. Don't sit there and try to explain it away.
Yeah,
and try to, crocodile tears.
I absolutely agree. I don't want to hear it. That's clearly what you think. That's clearly what you believe. Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have said anything. So that is why Haley Geffman Gold is Politic of the Week. I don't even want to talk about this.
No, we're going to leave you on your little lonely island, Haley, because we're done with you.
I'm done with this, so.
Moving right along.
To gun control, which we knew was going to happen.
We knew. Well, I knew when I first heard this. Oh, here we go. The next thing we're going to hear from Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein and pretty much anybody with a D after their name, and some people have with an R after their name. John McCain, I'm looking at you. We're
don't badmouth John McCain.
I'm going to badmouth him till the cows come home. I knew that right after this happened, or actually right as this was going on, in the back of my brain, while I'm staring at these horrific headlines, I'm going, I know somebody on either side of the aisle is going to make this a political deal. And lo and behold, not more than a matter of hours later, not everybody, but a good chunk of the regular talking heads in Washington did just that. And I'm so sick of it. Not to say that we shouldn't look at existing gun regulations and see what works and what doesn't. But like I said in my monologue, when you cheapen a tragedy by pushing your political agenda literally hours into it, they didn't even wait a day. They didn't even wait a damn day before they started politicizing this stuff. And that's what bothers me the most.
Here's what's difficult about it, because yes, I think that there needs to be a level of
decorum.
Yes.
You have to have some decorum after a tragedy like this.
Absolutely. But at the same time, it's difficult because to me, it could showcase that is their coping mechanism. No, go with me here. Kind of similar how a lot of comedians will make inappropriate jokes at the wrong time. A lot of times, it's a coping mechanism. That's the way that they personally try to handle it. That's the way a lot of people try to handle it. A lot of people try to handle stuff like this by politicizing it. Everybody has their own way of coping. It's hard because, yes, I agree with you. I think there needs to be a level of decorum and time passing in order for us to finally get to that point. But I also understand certain people cope with it in different ways, whether it's appropriate or not. And that's the difficulty, is that at that point, well, then we need to have a level of patience and empathy with those that are dealing with that. Not to say it's right, but that's just how it is.
My biggest thing is not just the decorum, it's the usual song and dance we always hear every time there's a little bit of gun violence, or anytime anything happens where a gun is anywhere in the vicinity. It immediately becomes, it's a gun control issue. We got to enact more gun control laws, and naturally the gun control laws that they want to enact are laws that will only be detrimental to the law-abiding citizens, not the criminals, because let's be honest, folks, the criminals don't give a damn about gun control laws. They don't care about gun-free zone signs. They don't care about any regulations you put on any guns. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless. The people that get hurt the most are the law-abiding citizens that are going to end up becoming the victim of these gun tragedies.
And I'll agree with you on there. Like, you know, a sign that says this is a gun-free zone. Someone's going to go, not anymore.
Exactly.
Like, it's so hard because everyone's like, we need to put up signs that say this is a gun-free zone. Okay, well, here's the thing. Whenever somebody goes in and shoots up a lot of stuff, what do we always chalk it up to? Mental illness. We always chalk it up to there's something unstable about this individual in their brain. So if we already have this predisposition of what this human being is mentally, why in the fuck all hell would you think that they're going to look at a sign and go, oh, well,
guess I'll go home.
Guess I'll go to a Albertsons or something,
right?
You know, or they don't have a sign like that. I'll go shoot up a grocery store.
Go to my local 7-Eleven. They let me shoot them up down there.
No, they're not going to adhere to the sign because, like you said, they're not mentally there.
No.
So,
I mean, a criminal's going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's not, and this is what's hard because as a liberal-ish, I'm just going to start saying I'm a liberal. Fine, whatever. As a liberal.
All of your conservative friends on Facebook, like, I knew it!
I knew it!
I fucking knew it!
Son of a bitch. As a liberal, I grew up in, like I said, I grew up in Alaska, small town. Here's the thing. When you grow up in Alaska, you kind of need a gun because at any point a moose can climb into your bed.
And those things are vicious, people.
Yeah, moose will fuck you up.
We're not talking
so,
Bullwinkle.
I grew up in the gun culture. I get the gun culture. I understand the gun culture. So as a liberal, this is a very difficult subject for me because I'm like, I get it, and that's if you want to have your gun, that's totally fine. But the other side of me is like, well, maybe we could, like, I don't know, try something to kind of help alleviate. And the second you had that little caveat of, well, then everybody starts losing their minds because they're like, oh, now you're for gun control, you fucking snowflake liberal.
Damn snowflake.
That's what's this is
This
is going to be a conflicting episode for me. I know it because there's a lot that I'm like I understand and I support, and there's a lot that I don't understand.
Likewise,
and I don't support.
It's going to be just as conflicting for me because on the opposite end of the spectrum, I support the Second Amendment and I support the right to own a gun and bear arms and whatnot, but I also support responsible gun ownership. And
okay, that's what I'm going to bring up right now. Do I support the Second Amendment? Yes. It's in the Constitution. I support it. I support your right to bear arms. When you make that Second Amendment your idol and you put the entirety of your character, your personality, who you are as an individual, weighs so much on the Second Amendment, you need fucking help. You need to check yourself into somewhere. Rehab, 5150. I don't even care where the hell you go. You need to check yourself because that's bullshit. The fact that you put so much of your being into something like that. And that goes with anything.
Half of the Bible Belt now hates you.
Fine.
Actually, they probably hated you before.
They probably did. I don't care. And see, that's the problem, is that then you have issues like what they were talking about in Bowling for Columbine. You have people like these two guys from Columbine. My guess is they probably put a lot of their self into what they believed in, into their guns and into their violent rhetoric.
That was their life.
That was their life. That was who they identified themselves as and with. And that is very dangerous. That is such a danger, and not even with the Second Amendment. With anything, it's anything. This A&W root beer that I'm drinking right now,
which is delicious, by the way,
it's fantastic. Like, I could put my entire being into this and say, "This is who I am. I am a root beer." Yeah. People are gonna be like, "You're insane. You're nuts. You're out of your fucking mind." But the fact that so many other people will not do that to individuals who are that ardent about the Second Amendment and about having ample amount of weaponry and firearms, and we don't say that's nuts or crazy, that doesn't make any sense.
It's difficult for me because I actually have family who are gun owners and gun collectors. I mean, a lot. Not like an arsenal, but they've got a decent amount.
Right.
You know, it would take them several large duffel bags to get out of their house. So I'm like, I totally understand it, and I get their love of the thing, and they have the right to buy what they want, but I don't see the need for that many. I mean, I'm a gun owner. I own a gun to do target shooting and range shooting and for home defense.
Right.
That's what I have it for. Yeah, I'd like to go out and buy a couple more just because they're fun to use on the range, but that nowhere defines me.
And that I get. Like, the level in which you have practiced your gun ownership, I'm like, yeah, because I've gone target shooting. I've shot gas tanks with an Uzi once. It was fucking awesome.
Oh, that's even beyond my my expertise.
Dude, it's Alaska, man.
Right.
We're just like, whatever.
It doesn't blow up, shoot it.
Yeah, I mean, so I get it. I've shot guns. Now, granted, it was fun, but it wasn't like I'm going to do this every weekend kind of thing. It didn't eat up.
It's expensive, number
one.
Well,
that's for one thing, which still doesn't understand how so many people can have all these guns and maintain them and shoot them, because I'm like, where do you have the money?
Right.
Where do you have the money to get these things?
That just to buy ammo for my 45 1911, that's at least $35 a box for 100 rounds. So imagine if somebody has like over 2,000 rounds. I'm like, where? You must have saved, like, I don't know what you did, but you must have like deprived your child of college tuition or something, because that's a lot of money.
That's what I want to figure out first and foremost, is where these people are getting this fucking money. Because so many people are like, oh, we don't have enough money for rent or to pay our bills, yet somehow you were able to go out and buy that new 911. Like,
you know how much? You know how much?
1911.
You know how much? That
See, this is
how
much the liberal knows about guns.
But you know how much that 1911 cost me? I actually got it on sale for $600. It would have been close to about $700 or $800 full price, and that's just a handgun. We're not talking the rifles and shot. Now shotguns are cheaper. Shotguns you can get for like $300. But the rifles, there's been a couple of rifles I'm looking at that are like $1,600, and I'm going, I don't have that kind of cash. Even if I had a really good full-time job, you know, even then I'd be like, I really have to justify buying that.
I just don't know. Yeah. So first and foremost, just tell us where the hell you're getting your money from to get all these guns, because that does not compute in my head.
And the fact that, you know, people make it a hobby of collecting like 20, 30, 40 guns.
Go shooting like every weekend.
Every weekend. I'm like, okay, again, it's fully within your right, but damn, you must be broke as shit.
I know. I don't get it. That's the first thing that I don't get, is that how they're able to just afford it.
Because it's not cheap. It is not a cheap hobby.
No. We had a lot more to talk about with this.
We do.
I'm lost now. Where are we? I fucking lost.
We were talking about just gun ownership and responsible gun ownership. That's what
responsible. Okay, yes. It's difficult because I agree. Do we have, per the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms? Absolutely. But like we say, that, you know, you have these rights, but you're not immune to the consequences of said rights. You know, we have the right to free speech, but like Haley Geffman Gold has proved, doesn't matter.
Nope.
You can say whatever you want,
but there are consequences.
And still get the boot for it.
That's right.
So
I mean, I can go out there on the street corner and start bitching about, I don't know, how much I don't hate it, but how much I hate country music, and I guarantee somebody around this neighborhood is going to come by and kick me in the balls. That's my consequences. You know,
and they'll put a boot in your ass.
They'll put a boot. Yeah,
it's the American way.
America.
Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of your list. How do I know that song?
And you're the one who doesn't like country music. I don't even.
Dude, I'm telling you, a lot of this shit was ingrained in my head growing up. I had no choice.
It's childhood trauma.
Seriously.
Anyway, personally, I think you can have the best of both worlds. You can own guns, but be a responsible gun owner. owner. You buy a gun, but keep it in a safe like I do. Keep it locked away. Follow the rules. Don't have it all over the house or hanging on your wall to kill the next varmint that comes along. I mean, be responsible with it.
So here's something that I've been thinking about, and I've been thinking about this a lot ever since forever, but it came back with the Vegas shooting. And that is, if the government wants so badly to fix this gun issue that we have, why are they so adverse to trying anything? Because think about it. The same week that the Vegas shooting happened was the same week that gun lobbyists started pushing this whole issue about it being easier and more accessible to get silencers and suppressors. Again, my brain is about to ooze out of my ear right now because I'm like, the timing of this is just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, no one was expecting a gunman to take 33 guns to however many guns he had to the 32nd floor of a casino and start mowing down people at an outdoor venue. Nobody.
One of the many conspiracy theories is that was timed by these quote-unquote lobbyists or something.
Oh,
but
God.
I'm not even going to get into that right now because
we'll
wait till the end of the episode for that. Okay, so here's the thing, is that I've always said that if the one group that should be so anti-something should technically be the first person to help that said organization out. Here's an example. The American church constantly goes after Planned Parenthood because of the abortion issue. Personally, I think the church should be the first organization helping Planned Parenthood. Now, there's the reason why. If the church is so anti-abortion, why would they not be the first people there to offer a helping hand to the people that come in there and get abortion? Why would they not be the first in line to say, we will take your child, we will put them in a home, we will create, put them in
a foster
care type of a thing? But even anything, the church should be the first people. They're the first people that will totally attack them, but they will do nothing to actually help them.
Well, that goes back to our episode Church Chat where we were talking about what the church needs to do to improve itself. And that's, I think, one of the things. But looking at it from the other side of the coin, from inside the church, don't forget, you get a lot of people, whether it's on the left, whether it's in Planned Parenthood, wherever, who are, first off, again, talking about optics, it looks like all they're about is about abortion. It's the bottom line. It's abortion this, abortion that, that's it.
You're talking about Planned Parenthood?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's false. But
I know, but I'm saying from their viewpoint,
right,
that's what it looks like. Not only that, I think a lot of churches and religious organizations feel attacked because they're getting a lot of legislation pushed against them where they have to allow for contraceptive, they have to allow for abortions in their health care, or etc. And it goes against the grain of their scripture and against their teaching. So I understand that aspect. Yes, you have a point. I do think that they need to offer another avenue besides abortion if they really want to fight this argument.
But that's the thing. It doesn't make sense to me that the church would be the first one to go after Planned Parenthood. I would think the church should be the first people to be there, and if a lady walks in wanting an abortion, they should go, hey, we're here to talk to you. Can we chat? I want to know more about who you are and what happened with this situation.
Well, again,
and try to offer some amount of solace and care for you and your future child.
I 120% agree. But again, what's happening is the same thing that's happening with the gun control issue. It is a very divisive topic to begin with.
That and where I was going with that is that I think, personally, if the federal government wants to be so insistent on trying to get something done, I think that the federal government needs to be the first group to work solely and distinctly with the NRA, which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make. That's why I'm quiet for a minute. I'm my brain is
right.
Wait, how does that?
Doesn't. I know, right? No one knows how that works or how that's gonna work, or if that even will work. But in my head, I'm like, no. Let's think about this for a second. If you want to buy a gun, and by the way, I actually used to sell guns. I used to work for a department store in Alaska called Fred Meyer. It's a Northwest chain, and they have you can buy guns in their department store. And part of the job that I had was selling guns. So I've sold guns to individual. I know the process. I know what it takes. It's too easy. It's too fucking easy. Granted, the process itself when you're actually there, because they have to fill out pages upon pages of paperwork, and then you got to submit that paperwork, and then you got to call the FBI, then you got to have them do a background check with all the code, all the numbers, everything that you give them per the paperwork that they just filled out. Then you got to wait for the FBI to then call you back and then go, yeah, they're clear. Sell them the gun.
Now, keep in mind, folks, that's because this is Alaska. We're not talking California where you've got half a dozen other loopholes to jump through.
That is true.
Before you can get a gun.
I should have thrown that back in there.
Alaska,
it is Alaska.
You can walk down to your local Walgreens and buy 5 rifles and go up, and I'll take a thing of Tylenol while I'm here.
Yeah, but the process is relatively simple. I mean, most people would get in and get out in like less than an hour.
With a gun?
With a gun.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen here. Took
Took
me about a week.
That's so weird. Now, sometimes the FBI would say like, there's something would go bing on their radar, and they go, hang on a minute, let's take a look at this. So then, of course, it would take longer. It would take like a week, or it would take like a month, and then they get pissed at you because they're like, what do you mean? I haven't done nothing wrong. I'm an American. And I'm like, don't take it up with me. Take it up with the FBI. Like,
really? Because it seems like you were transporting exotic materials about a week ago. I think that might be a red flag on the FBI's list. I don't know.
Seriously. Like, why are you arguing with me?
Right?
Take it up
I'm
with the
not
Federal
the feds.
Bureau of Investigation.
Right, man. I'm just
I've
selling
done
you the
nothing.
thing.
Yeah. I have done nothing wrong here.
But you see, 22-year-old
twerp.
People are so about their guns. They are so like
they've invested so much of their person into it that
and look, I understand. I get it from a point of view of a constitutionalist. Any regulation on the Second Amendment would look like you're trying to cut back on my freedoms, and that's un-American and blah 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 blah. And I totally understand. I get where you're coming from, but I'm also, like I said, you have to practice some responsible gun ownership. We're not selling you a Nerf gun.
That's why I'm saying, when it comes to the NRA and the federal government, and this is an idea that I had, and it just kind of popped into my head, and I'm like, maybe this could work. And I talked with Jim briefly about it, but I'm curious what the masses think about this, because I could just be completely idiotic in thinking this way. But I think if you want to buy a gun, that's fine. But the only way you can purchase a gun is you have to go through the NRA. You have to work with them. They do the training. They do the safety training. They do everything. They do the firing range. They do all of that to get you familiarized a little better with your gun. And then they take you through, and this is where a lot of people are going to hate me, but I don't care. There needs to be a very rigorous mental evaluation process.
Yeah, people are going to hate you because you know how long the whole thing is going to take.
I don't fucking
That's
care.
going to take like months.
I don't care.
Months.
I don't care.
I know you don't, but they
if
do.
If it takes months for your brain to get checked out by actual certified psychologists to make sure that 500 to 600 fucking people don't get shot again, we're going to do it.
Well, if it takes months for you to get analyzed and figured out...
By the way, I loved the awkward silence there. I love it because I could see it. You were like, I want to combat him, but I can't.
Well, yeah, because like we said before the podcast, I don't want mentally unstable people to have guns.
I don't either.
Now the argument can be made, well, that doesn't matter. It could be knives. It could be clubs. It could be, sporks. It doesn't, if they're crazy, they're going to use anything as a weapon. And granted, anything can be a weapon. I get that. And if you're crazy enough, you'll use,
But if there's anything that we can do to bring down the numbers, I think we should go for it. Because think about this. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. Think about it. Okay, China. China has very staunch, very harsh gun laws. Now, landmass-wise, they're about the same size, if not a little bigger, than the United States are. So I don't.
They're about double, aren't they?
Nah, they're roughly the same.
I don't know.
They're bigger than us.
I fell asleep in geography class.
Well, if you just look on a map, I mean, you can clearly say that it's almost the same size.
How come Iceland looks so darn big then? I don't want to know.
But okay, so China is bigger than the United States, and they have a population of 1.6 billion. That's literally like a fourth of the world's population, basically, exists in China. Here's the crazy thing. They have very harsh gun laws, and in the last one calendar year, only 25 people have died from gun-related incidents. That's not to trivialize the other shit that's going on, because
high suicide rate,
you have a high suicide rate,
murder rate,
you have a high poverty rate. You've got,
I mean, guns definitely. Guns aren't killing them. Right, something else is.
Exactly. You got the issue with people only allowed to have one child, and if you have more, you either got to put them up for adoption, or they get aborted, or whatever. So there's clearly a lot of other issues that going on in China. But the gun thing, in and of itself, 1 year only 25 people died in 1 year. That's crazy. And then look at Australia. Their numbers are even smaller than that.
Only 25 people were allowed to have sex, probably, too. That's you give and take, Gotta make a sacrifice somewhere.
If there's a way that we can, try to alleviate some of it, that's why I don't think we should just take away guns completely. And also, let's clear that up real quick, too, while we're at it. Okay. For all of you people that are freaking out that the government is going to come and take your gun away, no, they're not. For the love of God, No, they are not. The government has way
Not
better.
now that Trump's in office.
Right? No, well, but even after that, nobody was going to come take your guns when Obama
Damn
was
straight
in
they
office.
weren't. Well,
no
he
one was
wanted
going to come
to.
take your guns when Clinton was in office because no one gives a shit.
Well, Clinton was too busy getting his rocket shine to worry about gun control.
The government has way other stupid things to deal with than whether or not you have
I think the
gun.
government is worried about that guy in North Korea a little bit more right now than whether or not I own a gun.
Exactly. No one is coming for your guns. So get that out of your thick skull right now. Nobody's coming after your guns. Nobody cares. You're fine. However, I don't think, for me, and I don't know if Jim and I are going to agree on this or not, but I think as far as limits go, I think that people should be allowed handguns, revolvers, rifles, and on very, very, very distinct occasions, shotguns. Other than that,
Distinct occasions? Meaning what?
meaning if you want to go hunt a wolverine, you're going to need a shotgun.
Well, what if you want to go like I do? I go like skeet shooting or target shooting with a shotgun.
That's a distinct thing, though.
So if you have a distinct a reason to buy a shotgun,
you have a
you're
reason
saying.
to buy a shotgun, other than home defense.
Well, yeah, but you can really stop him with that.
I'm really getting to you with this, aren't I?
It's a viewpoint because, okay, I could say, well, I need it to go target shooting.
Right.
Okay, well, that's a good reason. But someone else could go, well, I need it to shoot, Wolverine. Okay, well, that's a good reason. Well, I need it for home defense. Okay, well, that's a decent.
All right,
And
fine. You
what's-
can have your shotgun.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Okay. I mean, I get that they're cheaper and they're
Well,
more
that's what I'm saying.
accessible.
They're a hell of a lot cheaper. Like, I can
So,
go and buy
I
one
get
now.
that. But I will be staunch about this. You don't need an assault rifle. You don't need an AR-15. You don't need an MP5. You
My
don't
my
need
brother-in-law
an
would
M16.
hate you. He loves his AR-15.
He actually has one?
Well, yeah.
Why? What is the fucking point?
Target shooting.
Oh my god. For what?
They're
An
so
armada
much
of
fun.
bears is not gonna come stampeding through your house looking to fuck you.
Not
you
here.
don't need an
Maybe
AR-15.
if you lived in the mountains, you couldn't. You couldn't say.
You can take out a bear with a shotgun. Okay, you don't need you don't.
Hey, don't
need
talk
an
to me. I don't own it. I don't
AR-15.
own it. I'm not the one owning the AR-15.
I'm just saying it's overkill. It's fucking and
But it's so
no
much
pun
fun.
intended. That was okay. Whatever.
Wow, I'm editing that one.
Oh man, no, keep it. It's fun. I'm frustrated because so many people are like, "Well, I just like to shoot a lot of bullets at the same time," and I'm like, "Okay, but there's no purpose for it. There is a purpose for a handgun, for a rifle, for home defense, for hunting." For playing around with, in a safe, secure zone, in these shooting ranges. There's no reason. No reason you need an AK-47.
Well,
no reason.
What if I want to stop tyranny?
I'm gonna
love the
bash my
reaction.
head
I
against a
love the
wall right
reaction.
now. I'm just
No, I again, I'm dicking around with you because I totally agree. I don't think it's necessary for this. For example, this guy in Vegas who had the what was it called, the bump stock or whatever the hell that modifier was. It basically
that
it
got
turned
me.
all
I
of
was
his
like,
all
yeah.
of his weapons are now fully automatic. Why? Why? And I was talking with my brother about this. We got into a bit of a tiff the other night about it because he's very adamant about
the libertarian.
he's a libertarian. He's like, my guns, don't tread on me type of thing. And I get that. I understand. But at the same time, I'm target shooting. All right? The targets don't shoot back. Or if you're hunting deer, the deer is not going to go Rambo style on you and try to flank you.
Yeah.
You don't need a fully automatic
This
gun.
is not the
to
most
shoot.
dangerous game.
No,
Okay?
it's not. It's totally not. And you don't need a gun that shoots that many bullets to take out a deer. And I know I'm pissing off so many of my fellow conservatives right now who love guns because they're like, wait, I thought you were all about the gun, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, again, as I said before, not more than 20 minutes ago, responsible gun ownership. I don't think you need a fully automatic rifle that shoots 500 plus bullets when you're target shooting.
Also-
because once you shoot it, you did it. You shot it.
Exactly. Also, let's take a look at the logistics of this. If I may offer a bit of, just enlightenment for my highly conservative, extreme right-wing friends. Okay, listen to this. A lot of you out there who love your fully automatic weapons, who love your AR-15, who love whatever other quote-unquote assault rifle you own. Okay, a lot of you say the same thing. You need it for defense because you need it just in case there's an uprising. And I cannot believe that I'm actually having like a legit conversation with
I'm kind of
most of you
staring
about
at him right now
this.
because I'm like, are you actually saying this shit?
Just bear with me on this one. A lot of people believe, a lot of these gun toters, like I think there's going to be an uprising soon. We're going to have to take back our country from the crazies and this and that. You know what I'm talking about, Jim. You know
No,
what
I know
I'm
what you're talking
about.
What I think is funny is like you actually like You know this.
Right? It's happening, guys. Be prepared. No. And a lot of you say, I need this weapon to protect myself from any sort of tyrannical political uprising of sorts. Okay, I'm going to pop a little hole in your logic here. First off, most of you, I know for a fact, because I grew up with a lot of you people are isolationists. You don't care to exist in communities. You don't care to contribute in any decent way, shape, or form to the society that you're living in. You don't care to be involved in anything regarding civilization. You'd rather just live in your cabin in the middle of nowhere in the woods somewhere. So already, there's no community that you have with anybody around you, for one, and if there is, it's at such a face value that it's stupid. Secondly, let's take a look at this logically. If you're an isolationist, like a lot of these people are, and you barricade yourself in your cabin alone to protect yourself from anybody coming in, the people who are going to come in are going to be the military, SWAT, the Secret Service, the National Guard. They're literally going to send hundreds upon hundreds of individuals to come get your ass. You are one fucking person with an AR-15. Do you really think you're gonna stand a chance at protecting yourself against the uprising?
Well, it's like that guy that again, I keep forgetting his name, that cop killer here in California that barricaded himself in that cabin in Big Bear.
Yeah.
The guys and I think the SWAT or something, guys with bigger guns than him, surrounded the cabin, and within 20 minutes he was dead.
Yep.
That's the same thing. And can I also add, the reason why there's never going to be an uprising or a second revolution is because of how lazy and self-centered this current civilization happens to be.
Oh my God, you're so right.
Could you imagine like a revolutionary war being fought now? Like no one would even bother with the Boston Tea Party would never happen. Hey, let's go dump some tea in the harbor. Nah. I'm doing a tweet right now. I can't.
Yeah,
I don't have time.
That's the thing.
It's like no one would care.
Let's take a look at the trends. Okay, if there's ever going to be an uprising or a second revolution, it's going to be a techno war.
Yep.
Has nothing to do with guns. It's going to be all about technology, okay? It has nothing to do with your fucking firearm. So that's where we're at with that. But I truly believe that there needs to be a very extensive mental health evaluation period. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if it takes weeks. I don't care if it takes months. If it's going to prevent upwards of 600 people could be walking away with their lives, or
which
with
again, like
intact.
I said, angers me.
Yeah.
It pisses me off that 600 innocent people were affected by a madman at an outdoor event.
Yeah.
It pisses me off. It pisses me off because this actually was allowed to happen.
Yep.
Granted, like I said before, it shouldn't take a professional 6 months to figure out your mental aptitude. If you're really that far gone, within an hour, they'll go, no, this guy don't get a gun.
If anything, that should be the start of it. Look, we're not saying you can't have a gun. We're just saying that there needs to be a tighter squeeze on them. They should not be as easy to get as we are making them.
I think it shouldn't be easy for certain people to get. I think that, again, if we pass this mental test and go, hey, you're mentally capable and you're well within your faculties and you got it all together, then after that, the process should be pretty smooth sailing.
Right.
But what I don't like is when, like with California or other stringently blue states, where they give you 50 different hoops to jump through before you can buy a single gun, and you clearly have no background that would be questionable. I'm like, well, now you're just dicking with people just to be an ass. You're just dicking with people because you hate guns or whatever the case is. But yes, I do believe that there needs to be at least a mental background check of some kind, not just
extensive.
Yeah, not just a criminal background check. But we need to know if you're fully capable within your mental faculties to not fly off the deep end. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm sounding very much like one of those liberal gun control freaks, but I'm not. I'm advocating for responsible gun ownership and responsible gun selling, okay?
And I, for one, as a liberal who grew up in gun culture, I get it. And I'm not saying that I'm going to take away your gun. I'm just saying that maybe you don't need to have as many as you have.
I don't think 150 guns is really necessary.
Right? Like 3 at the most. Like
maybe 4 if you're really feeling adventurous. But
exactly.
I think that, look, say what you will, because some people are like, well, Stephen Paddock didn't have any history of mental illness. And then lo and behold, we're now starting to see as it ekes out, actually, he was not as entirely stable as we were led to believe. I'm like, and not only that, his family... He has one brother that is constantly getting into some legal trouble. I'm like, okay, well, obviously, there's some genetic mental issues there someplace, which could have been caught had he been evaluated by somebody.
The thing that I don't get, too, is that, like, and I don't want to go too deep into this, but because a lot of people were coming out saying that this wasn't technically a terrorist attack, and...
I think anything.
I'm sorry, but it was.
It was. I think anything that gives you terror, if you are frightened by anything, it's a terrorist attack. It would just happen to be a domestic terrorist attack. That's the only thing that differentiates
that's
this
the
from
problem.
anything
Is
else.
that a lot of people will say, "Well, it's because he's white." But that people are saying that it's not a terrorist attack. And you know what? There's probably some.
Maybe there are.
There's some validity.
Maybe
to
that only those darn Muslims can be terrorists.
Right,
but I think
I'm just gonna say right now, as a white male American, about this white male American, he is a terrorist.
Yes.
This was a terrorist
it was
attack.
a terror attack.
I don't care what the media says. I don't care what any right wing, left wing, whatever wing says. This was a terrorist attack.
Absolutely.
I'm going to clear that up right now.
Because I think that, we can't put labels on one person that does something, and then when somebody else does this exact same thing, we hold it. But I would argue that a terrorist is anyone that enacts violence against anybody for any reason.
Yep. I'm with
Again,
you there.
maybe I'm wrong, but I would totally agree that this was a domestic terrorist attack.
Yep. I am 100% with you.
And I, again, believe that that Paddock, whether you think he was or not, dude was unstable. Anybody that takes that many weapons up to a floor in a casino, smashes out the windows with a hammer, and then starts firing down on people from 1,000 feet away is not altogether there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I find it crazy that how many guns did they find in the room with him?
30.
It was like 30-ish.
Over 30-ish, over 30
like
guns,
that.
30, 33, something like that.
But they found even more at his house.
Yeah, they found like almost 80 plus guns at his house. I'm going,
how? Again, where does the money come from?
I mean, granted, he was a gambler, and apparently he was wealthy and well off, and fine. I guess that's where the money comes from. But why do you have over 80 plus guns in your house? Are you part of the military? Which again, here come the conspiracy theories. Well, he was part of the military, and he was like he was part of the FBI or Secret Service, whatever.
Yeah, there was.
I'm not going to get into that just yet, but
there was a lot of conspiracy theories.
But why do you
have? It's so
have?
hard because, I don't want to get into the conspiracy theory thing, even though it's like, as a writer, it's so hard because
it's such good stories. I love conspiracy theories because they make such riveting stories.
They're so compelling.
They're so
they're amazing.
Yeah,
but it's also hard because I don't want to chalk this up because it's so recent that I don't want to.
Well, not only that, it's so cut and dry. It's a nut job with a bunch of guns shooting up people.
Yeah,
it's an open and shut case. You don't get any simpler than that.
So if we could kind of wrap it up a little bit, because I know we've talked a lot about this, and I think we've come to a pretty good agreement with a lot of stuff, but I mean...
I think we can agree that there just needs to be smarter gun ownership, but most importantly, there needs to be, as a government, you need to work together to ensure this kind of thing doesn't happen. Work with the NRA, work with these other organizations.
We need to be working together.
Quit being divisive about it, going, well, you got
Republicans and Democrats, federal government and the NRA, Joe Schmo and Jack Black need to get to maybe not Jack Black.
Sorry, Jack, you're on your own.
But no, these people, we need to be working together. We need to be having the conversation of like, okay, where's the middle ground that's going to appease everybody?
Exactly, and let's learn to work together. Okay, liberals, I know you guys are all about as many gun controls as you can. And even you far left liberals, you know who I'm talking about, would love to just wipe your ass with the Second Amendment. You need to allow for some give and take. Likewise,
a lot of you right-wingers out there need to quit thinking that your entire person exists within how many rounds you can shoot off.
Exactly. How many guns I own does not make the man.
No. And if it is, you need a new hobby. Take up, I don't know, painting figurines or some bullshit.
Right? Take up figurines. It's like painting porcelain dolls.
Yeah.
See some guy dressed in flannel with a bunch of guns behind him painting this doll. So again, we're not saying your guns need to go. And again, as a conservative, I firmly believe in the Second Amendment right to own, bear arms, and to have a gun, and to use it within a responsible manner.
I'll just say this right now. This is not a gun issue. This is a heart issue. This is first and foremost a heart issue. This is something that needs to be taken care of in the family, in the household, and that's where it needs to be taken care of before the gun even bothers to come into the equation.
Exactly. You need to first off examine yourself, and if so, get a professional to examine you.
Yes, please. I would say that too. As somebody myself who has dealt with depression, who fought with depression, who still to this day deals with depression, I get it. I'm going to even say right now, I've had severe suicidal thoughts. Like, there's been a couple of times that I'm like, you know what? I could just walk out in the middle of the street right now and not give a shit about what happens. I've been there. Like, mental health is a very important thing. And it's sadly still a very taboo thing in this country. I get it. I am with you. And I just want to say right now, please, if there's anything you can do to reach out to whoever, whether it be a friend, whether it be a professional. You know what? I'm going to take it a step further. If you feel like you want to reach out to us, by all means do it.
Yep, we're always here.
Message us on the Facebook page, message us on the YouTube channel, reach out to Gemini. And I'm serious. Like, this is a mental thing. This is a heart thing. And we want somebody to be there
to talk to.
We will gladly message you. We will gladly keep in touch on Messenger or whatever and just be like, you know what?
Because you're not alone. You have people you can talk to. You have people that care.
Yeah.
You have even total strangers that care. We care about our humanity. We care about each other, which is why, again, like I said, this whole shooting incident angered me so much because that's humanity that was victimized, and I care very much about our fellow human beings. So please, use us as an outlet. Talk to us. You have a way out.
Yes.
You have someone to talk to.
Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to talk to people. And for those of you who may not be dealing with any sort of mental illness, I mean, just stay on the lookout. If you see anybody who is seemingly hurting or looks like they're hurting or just any sort of one, and I know it's difficult because we didn't see a lot of the signs with the Stephen Paddock guy. Everybody was saying it doesn't make any sense. This is not who he was. The signs were hidden, but I can guarantee you the signs were probably there. But just no one was paying attention, which is why he probably pulled something like this, is because no one was paying attention. So if we start paying attention, we can make a difference.
And I will also say to my fellow responsible gun owners, thank you for being responsible. Reach out to others and educate them.
Yes, please.
Tell them why they need to be, and tell them what to watch out for, and tell them the truth. Tell them exactly how to be a responsible lover of the Second Amendment who also is responsible in handling your firearm, in handling yourself. Guns are not toys. It's a very serious thing to be a gun owner, to own one, and to teach. If you are one who teaches,
it's a big responsibility.
It's a very big responsibility, and for those of you that do it right, I applaud you and I thank you. Now go out and teach others the same thing.
That's the thing. If you truly believe that groups like the federal government, like the NRA, like all these other big organizations are not going to actually pull their own weight and try something, it's on you now.
Yep. Really, that should play right into your philosophy of being a citizen, a responsible American citizen.
Yes.
You're the one who takes action. You're the one where the buck should stop. So let it stop with you. Take action. Be responsible. Be that proactive citizen. Don't let another tragedy like the Las Vegas shooting or Sandy Hook or Columbine, don't let that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Be the agent of change. I know I'm always saying it on this podcast, but I can't say it enough. Be the agent of change. If you want anything to be different, if you want positive changes in your society and in this country, it's going to have to start with us as citizens. We can't depend on our government to do it because, let's face it, the government doesn't have a really good track record. We've seen that. So it's going to come down to us. And it's going to come down to us being responsible and looking within ourselves and finding out what are we going to do to make a difference, a positive difference.
I agree.
So that's my word. I'm sticking to it.
I don't really have a final word, but no, I think that's a good. I think it's a good place to end it.
I think so.
We've both said our piece.
We've said our piece.
We've reached some sort of agreement, conclusion.
And we haven't killed each other, so we're still good.
Yet 14 episodes in.
When's it gonna happen? That'll be a great episode.
When is the fallout gonna happen? That will be
the series finale.
That'll be the series finale. Yeah.
We'll leave it on a cliffhanger.
Oh.
But anyway, folks, again, we leave you with that. And as always, thank you for coming by and hearing us rant and talk about things that matter to us most, whether it's gun control or just being good people.
Yep.
So finally, as we always say on this show, stay cool out there. Leave the crazy to us.
Rock on.
Later.